Yo, what's going on? Mike from Mike Talk Sports. So every single year, certain NFL players' draft stock significantly increases and significantly decreases due to how they do at the NFL Combine. So in honor of that, today I'm going to be looking at 5 NFL players who ended up having great careers but actually had really bad NFL Combine performances. So to start off the video and to start off the list, I wanted to start with the most recent example of a guy having a really bad combine, and that's going to be in 2018 from Oklahoma. I'm talking about Orlando Brown Jr. So Orlando Brown Jr. already going into the NFL draft before the NFL Combine had a significant amount of hype going around him. Not only was he an elite tackle prospect at Oklahoma, protecting the likes of guys like Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray, but he was also the son of former great offensive tackle Orlando Brown, who is a Hall of Famer with the Ravens. So there was so much significant excitement surrounding Orlando Brown. What went wrong for Orlando Brown? So to start off the NFL Combine, they do measurements, and Orlando Brown was measured at 6'8", 345 pounds, already with that ginormous frame. People in the NFL scouting departments thought, hey man, this guy might be a little bit slow-footed. This guy might be too big to be an offensive tackle in the NFL in such a heavy outside zone run-heavy scheme that the NFL uses nowadays. Maybe he's a little bit too slow-footed to run those outside zone concepts from the tackle position. So going into the NFL draft, that was a concern, but the measurements made it more of a concern. What else? His 5.85 40-yard dash time was absolutely atrocious. It was getting made fun of all over social media. Damn, how could a tackle be this slow in the NFL? You had your obvious keyboard warriors saying, hey man, me from my couch, 40 years old, could run a better 40-yard time than that. So Orlando Brown was getting really made fun of for his 40-yard dash time. His vertical was also getting made fun of. He clocked in at a 17.5-inch vertical, which is not great, but come on, when do you ever see a tackle jumping in the NFL? It's so rare. It doesn't even matter. He had a 6'10" broad jump, and due to this, he fell all the way to the 3rd round. So a first-round prospect, the son of a Hall of Fame tackle, a guy who had a really good career at Oklahoma, goes from a first-round prospect. He was kind of a fringe first-round prospect to preface. He wasn't some top 10, top 20 lock, but he was a fringe first-round prospect, fell all the way to the 3rd round to the Ravens, ended up being a pretty good player with the Ravens, but kind of the issue coming out of the draft came to a head with the Ravens, where he was a great player with the Ravens. He just wasn't a great scheme fit with that heavy run game they like to use. Orlando Brown is better served as a pass protector. A pass protector when you have a guy like Patrick Mahomes who takes really deep dropbacks, so you need a deeper pocket to develop. So Orlando Brown is athletic. He's really good at that. He's been great for the Chiefs, and he is a Super Bowl champion. So in my opinion, I think Orlando Brown ended up being just fine, even though he had a bad NFL Combine. He's about to get paid a significant amount of money this offseason. Coming in at number 2, it's going to be Anquan Boldin from the 2003 NFL Combine. He was coming out of Florida State. In his last year at Florida State, he was an all-conference second-team guy. He was really good at Florida State. He was considered a first-round prospect by most, if not the entire draft community, was highly anticipated to be one of the first receivers off the board, and that did not happen because of his NFL Combine performance. He ran a 4.7 40-yard dash, which was dead last for receivers in 2003. Coming out of Florida State, speed was really never one of his strengths, but NFL scouts still wanted to see that he could run a solid 40-yard dash time, maybe run a low 4.5 40, a high 4.6 40, but the fact that he ran a 4.7 40-yard dash really scared most teams away, scared every single team away from drafting him in the first round, because he ended up falling to the 2nd round, to the 54th pick, to the Arizona Cardinals. Anquan Boldin is credited to having the best rookie opening day performance in NFL history. Absolutely balled out and had a great rookie year. Ended up having a phenomenal just career with the Arizona Cardinals. Ended up representing them in a Super Bowl. They lost that Super Bowl, but then he ended up having a phenomenal career with the Ravens as well. As a number 1 receiver with Joe Flacco in this Ravens team, he ended up winning a Super Bowl ring, and he was a vital part in that Super Bowl team. So Anquan Boldin Boldin, again, he had a slow shuttle time. His 3-cone drill wasn't great, but he's a borderline Hall of Famer with the Arizona Cardinals and with the Ravens, a phenomenal career after a slow NFL combine. Coming in at our number 3 spot, it's going to be Terrell Suggs, another guy from the 2003 draft class. He got drafted from Arizona State. So the thing is about Terrell Suggs, man, he's the best college player I have on this list today. He was a phenomenal all-time great, rememberable NCAA football player. He set the NCAA record in 2002 with 24 sacks. He ended his career with 44 career sacks, was just unreal at Arizona State, was one of the best pass rushers in college football history. He's an all-time great prospect coming out of college. So he ran a 4.84 40-yard dash time, and he put up 18 reps on the bench. So guys went, oh man, I guess Terrell Suggs isn't that fast. I guess Terrell Suggs isn't that shifty. He isn't that agile. And he doesn't even have the strength to complement that low profile in terms of physical attributes. Maybe he's just a great college football player who benefited from playing at Arizona State, a team who isn't playing the Alabamas of the world and the Oklahomas of the world. So maybe Terrell Suggs isn't that good. Well, the Baltimore Ravens, a team who took a chance on Orlando Brown, a team who took a chance on Elvis Dumervil after having a bad combine as well, they said, you know what, screw it. He's such a great player. We love this guy as a person. His film speaks for itself. We're going to draft him in the NFL draft if he falls. So he went from a consensus top 5 pick in the draft to falling to the number 10 pick in the NFL draft and ended up having an all-time great, just phenomenal career with the Baltimore Ravens. Like I just mentioned with Anquan Boldin in that Ravens Super Bowl team, Terrell Suggs was also a vital part to that Super Bowl team. So again, a great career from Terrell Suggs. I know all those teams in the top 10 who did not pick him are really regretting it nowadays. Coming in at number 4, it's going to be a guy from the 2001 NFL Combine class. It's going to be Drew Brees coming from Purdue. So Drew Brees in college was really, really good, guys. He finished 4th in Heisman voting in 1999, and he finished 3rd in Heisman voting in 2000. And this was after a phenomenal, crazy 1998 season where he burst onto the scene and threw over 30 touchdowns in college, which back then was a really tough task to do. So again, a really good player at Purdue, but coming into the NFL, it was just a question with his size. It was a question with his arm talent. So NFL scouts really wanted to see how he did at the NFL Combine and how he was going to combat these questions surrounding his physical attributes. He really did not answer these questions with full confidence at the NFL Combine, as at the measurements, he measured in just under 6 feet tall, which really made a lot of NFL teams nervous. He didn't have the biggest frame. He ran a 4.85 40-yard dash, and he had average agility drills. He ended up throwing at the NFL Combine, which a lot of quarterbacks don't do nowadays, but he really just left more questions than answers when it comes to his downfield throwing ability, his ability to hit those comebacks 15 yards down the field outside of the numbers. That's something that Drew Brees coming into the NFL struggled with because of that lack of arm talent, and he did not answer those questions at the NFL Combine. He ended up falling to the 2nd round, even though he was a near consensus 1st round pick. He ended up falling to the 2nd round where the Chargers drafted him. The Chargers ended up kind of playing him here and there for the first 3-4 years. Then he ended up signing with the Saints and becoming one of the most decorated quarterbacks in NFL history, multiple 5,000-yard seasons, the most efficient quarterback in NFL history. So I think the Chargers regretted not drafting him, but regretted letting him go, because Drew Brees ended up being one of the best Hall of Fame quarterbacks we have ever seen in this league. So speaking of great NFL quarterbacks who ended up getting drafted later than they should have, we're coming in at number 1 with Thomas Brady from the 2000 draft from Michigan. So I think Tom Brady gets a lot of slack nowadays for being a no-name college player, having no college achievements whatsoever. This is a narrative I would like to dismiss real quick. I know Tom Brady entered Michigan as the 7th quarterback on the depth chart. I know he split time with a guy who ended up becoming a pro baseball player and was a failed NFL player. But Tom Brady was good at Michigan. Michigan. He showed those intangibles that it takes to become the GOAT, which Tom Brady ended up becoming. So at Michigan, he led them to 2 straight bowl games in 2 straight years. He led them to the Citrus Bowl, and then in his last year at Michigan, he played a stunner in the Orange Bowl. He won a 1-point game against Alabama. And in my opinion, if Tom Brady ended up being a nobody in the NFL, I still feel as though die-hard Michigan fans who grew up in that era, who grew up in the 2000s and late 90s, I feel as though they would still remember the name Tom Brady because, again, in his last 2 seasons at Michigan, Michigan had a significant amount of success from Tom Brady. Should Tom Brady have been a first-round pick? No, he shouldn't have been, but he shouldn't have been a 6th-round pick either, and it was because of his NFL combine. So he had a 5.28 40-yard dash time, which was the second worst at the combine for quarterbacks in that year. He threw a little bit at the combine, and not to say he did bad throwing at the combine. He just looked so weak. He looked frail. He looked unathletic, and he looked goofy out there, for lack of a better terms. He was a goofy-looking guy, a goofy-looking prospect, and nobody wanted him. The Patriots liked him in the pre-draft process in terms of the interview. They ended up taking a chance on him with the 6th pick, and the rest is history. Hope you guys enjoyed this video.